I was just thinking about Candace Owens, and she's such a highly intelligent person. And she has some great ideas about the community, the black community in particular, education, poverty, crime, those kind of things. But she takes it too far, though. The way she does it, she plants or positions like people of color as some sort of victim or some sort of outcast, something like that. She takes it too far. And I think she does it because she's playing to, a certain group of, like a certain group of whites she's playing to that wants to hear that blacks are inferior in some way, or their own problems, or they need to hear that, because I was thinking about and she's amazing, right? But I wish she would, instead of catering to that group, I just wish she would just use her genius that she has and cater to meeting the needs and the problems of the black culture. And maybe that's what she thinks she's doing. I just don't think she is. But people loved and listened to her and need to listen to her because many people are just in denial. It's hard to believe a country as amazing as this country is and has been, that we have this horrible stained history, in particular in how they dealt with Africans or how they dealt with people of color, black people. Because it is horrifically horrible that you would take our ancestors, they're all our ancestors, by the way, that, because it's our history, would take people from their country across the ocean where they have no way of getting back, right? Secluded, no way. It's not like you took them across land and then they could escape and go back to that land and figure it out if they wanted to, because that's what they would have done. But no, you take them across the ocean where they don't have no idea where they're at. And there's no way of getting back. So they have no choice but to stay here and make the best of it, because they wouldn't have stayed. And even to leave their situations, like, where would they go? There's nothing but horror in the whole land of this country. So where would they go? So they had to stay in the position that they are. That's the worst thing you can do to a culture, and that's what was done. Let alone the abuses that came with it. To survive, they endured abuses. If they knew how to get back to the country, like it was on the same land, let's say, not across the ocean, on the same land, they would not have tolerated those abuses. They wouldn't have. They would have fought, rebelled, and moved back to their land, moved back to their family. But since it's across the ocean, it wasn't even possible. So they tolerate these abuses for survival. They didn't tolerate because they were weak. They didn't tolerate because they were incompetent. They tolerated because they had no choice. They didn't tolerate it because white people were just so powerful with the weaponry and stuff like that. Had nothing to do with it. It's that, where were they going to go? They couldn't get back to their homeland, so what was the point? But so they tolerate the abuses, the rapes, the beatings, the humiliation, working them to death. They tolerate it because they had no place to go. Not to mention, children that were born were taken away from their mothers, from their fathers. Can you imagine that? Like, a lot of us, you ever see your baby born? You cry. A lot of us cry when we see our baby born when we're in the hospital room. And we're like, we love that baby to death, and we're like, we'll do anything for that baby. But back in this time period, same thing. You had to love that baby more than anything, just to know that it's going to be taken from you and then put in a horrific situation that you don't know what's going to happen to that baby, but you know it won't be good. That baby's in bondage. That baby will be beat. the baby will be raped. You don't know. It's horrific. And I believe that we know subconsciously how horrific this is. And a lot of us Americans are in denial. We don't want to believe that we're capable of something like that. We want to believe that for something like that to happen, that they deserved it somehow. That Africans deserved it, or people of color deserved it. Meaning maybe they were ignorant, stupid, barbaric in some way. Maybe it was God's will. We make up all these reasons to justify because we can't face it. The hardest thing for people to do is to look in the mirror and face themselves. Like when you have to grow and develop. But those ones that do it, man, they're highly successful. When they can keep looking in the mirror and keep reinventing themselves. But as a country, though, to look in that mirror and see what that history is horrible. Great country. Not down in my country. I love this country. But I'm just saying the face of it is horrific and horrible. So as Americans, what we do is we'll cling on to people like Candace Owens on what they're saying because she is a person of color, so she has clout with people of non-color. So if she is a person of color speaking in behalf of us and saying that, we're ignorant or we're violent or, we deserve what we get, and somehow, I'm not saying that's what she says, but I'm just saying in that way, it helps people of non-color to be able to deal with the fact of this atrocious history that we have. Even to this point where we're at right now, black people are still dealing with things, and there's people around us that are in denial. So, just saying, I wish Candace Owens would help us to paint a different picture and to help, choose a side here. Not a side in black and white. Just choose a side as an American. We're all Americans. Let's figure out a way to help Americans get through a problem versus victimizing another American. That's all I got.